Welcome to Anokhe Rang. This will be illustrated here by the well-known gentleman of the Washington metro area by the name of Dr. Krishan Chhabra. This gentleman is always perfect with his lingo. Well, today he's going to present to us what he says, quote, "Perfect, the enemy of good," unquote. Come on close, let's take a look.
Hello, I'm Dr. Krishan Chhabra and welcome to Anokhe Rang. Today's topic is perfect the enemy of good? Perfect is the enemy of good is an aphorism which is commonly attributed to Voltaire. In the words of Confucius, better a diamond with the flaw than a pebble without. And Shakespeare said, striving to better oft be more what's well. So, is perfect really the enemy of good? Well, not quite, since it depends on what you are trying to accomplish. In the grand scheme of things, perfection does have its own place, and rightly so. For example, launching a rocket to land on Moon or Mars requires the precision that good enough will surely miss the mark. A case in point, the Washington Post dated July 25th of this year has a front page article titled NASA's New Eye on the Stars Stuck on Earth. It talks about NASA's James Webb Space Telescope that was supposed to be 1 million miles away from Earth by now, peering deep into the universe and back in time to when stars were first assembling into galaxies. But its launch has been delayed by about 15 years because of some screwy errors, no pun intended, since some screws, washers, and nuts fell off during a recent test. Even if a little thing were to go wrong, it'll be a disaster for the entire mission, not to mention about the hefty price tag. But in general situations, perfection seems to become an enemy of the good. The well-known Pareto principle or 80-20 rule states it commonly takes 20% of the full time to complete 80% of the task, while to complete the last 20% of the task takes 80% of the effort. Achieving absolute perfection may be impossible, and therefore increasing efforts results in diminishing returns. Many high-achieving people are perfectionists. They typically have type A personalities. They are very detail-oriented and want to make sure that nothing is missed. One can argue that perfection can be a good thing since that drive can push people to do great things. But look at the negatives. The challenge of perfection can in fact intimidate people, so they won't even try. The type A personalities by nature feel more stressed, and more stress over time can take toll on the physical and mental well-being. Perfection also requires more time and effort. If you wait too long, you can lose momentum and the competitive edge in today's fast-paced business world. According to Psychology Today, perfect may exist as a concept, but it's not a reality. Perfection in its elusive glory is like a unicorn. Sounds great, but no one has seen one. Trying to make something perfect can actually prevent us from making it just good. So how do we stop trying to push ourselves to an impossible perfect and accept the good? It's generally hard for a perfectionist to settle for being good. It needs a shift in the mindset, and that is, don't wait for things to be perfect, just get started and be done. For example, for a new software, instead of ironing out every last bug, just release your beta version. For a new product, instead of adding every imaginable improvement and features, ship the product and release improvements later. Perhaps it's best described by Sir Robert Alexander Watson Watt, who developed an early warning radar in Britain to counter the rapid growth of the German Air Force. He propounded a cult of imperfect, which he stated as, give them the third best to go on with. The second best still comes too late, and the best never comes. Set deadline and stick to it. Nothing encourages perfection more than movable deadlines. Just doing and not waiting for things to be perfect keeps the momentum. It keeps the ball rolling, and that is the name of the game in this fast-paced world of technological innovations. The pursuit of perfection sounds great, but unless we are willing to settle for good, we may have to settle for nothing at all. We all are capable of doing amazing things, but unless we let go of the idea of perfection, we may have a hard time to achieve those amazing things. Wishing you all a very happy Halloween, and for those enthusiastic pumpkin carvers, here's my personal story. Many years ago, I was carving a pumpkin for my children. I was using a regular kitchen knife, and that was my first mistake. I got the carving done and it looked good, but I wanted both the carved eyes to look exactly the same, and that was my second mistake. As I was meticulously working around the minor cuts, the knife slipped and I got a cut at the bottom of the thumb on my right hand. I still have a little scar here. The cut was rather deep, so I had to go to the emergency room. The nurses were all dressed up in Halloween costumes. As soon as I showed my hand to a nurse, she immediately said, "So, you are carving a pumpkin, huh?" I hesitated and said yes. She smiled and said, "Don't worry, there are some other pumpkin warriors here getting their stitches, and you will be next." I seem to like the term pumpkin warrior instead of what I was thinking in my mind. Moral of the story, be careful. Use a knife or a tool designed for pumpkin carving. And finally, if carving looks good, stop and be happy. Do not strive for perfection. Yes, perfection can be an enemy of good. Please join me again next month for another segment of Anokhe Rang. Namaskar.